Hey, what's up, guys? And this time, I'm going to talk about the Oscar-nominated documentary "Hell and Back Again," which is it's about Sergeant Nathan Harris who was injured in Afghanistan, and he comes back home to North Carolina and tries to, you know, get used to being home and get over his injury, and get back with his wife and this and that. And I don't know. Uh, it did not. Let me put it this way: I haven't seen any war documentaries that I really like. At least that, like, off the top of my head. The last big one I remember seeing was Restrepo, which got tons of hype behind it, and I was actually really like excited to see it based on the trailer. The trailer made it look really good, and I thought that was good, but I was not a huge fan of it, and I'm definitely not a fan of Hell and Back Again. I'm sorry to say. Um, for one, there's just not much to it, and two, it has Nathan Harris. You know, all respect to him. I just don't. I didn't find him as I'm not gonna call him a character, but he wasn't like a likable subject. He just was. He didn't seem like a guy you'd want to be friends with, honestly, or at least I wouldn't want to be friends with. No disrespect to him or whatever, but it's just, anyways, it's weird because I didn't see a trailer for anything, but you read the description. It's a guy coming home to North Carolina after serving in Afghanistan, being injured. So you think it's gonna be all about him like coming back into society and shit like that. And that's like half of it. Half of it's 88 minutes is him like mostly getting over his injury, and the other half is footage from Afghanistan with his platoon and going into villages and pissing people off in the villages and shooting at other people that you can't see, and then you know the other half is him at home. And his injury was he was shot basically in the ass and it tore up his leg, like the bullet went down his leg. But he will eventually walk again. You see him progress as it goes along. um, and he's taking lots of pain medication. He's taking OxyContin and shit, and he's kind of fucked up a little bit. Like, not too bad, but kind of fucked up a little bit. Like, I mean, like, under the influence of the pills through uh, a portion of it. And he's just not like a likable guy. Like, he seems like kind of a dick to his wife. He's always like fucking with his pistol, and just like brandishing it and like pointing it at people and like pointing it at himself and showing his wife how cool his pistol is. Like, this guy did 3 tours, and you think he would, I think at one point in the film he says he's 26 years old, and you're like, at what are you gonna grow up at some point? And he talks about how he went there to, like, the reason he signed up to be in the military is he wanted to kill people. And he said, that kind of changed over time. He's like, now that I'm 26, I have a different head on my shoulders. But still, like, that was his main reason to go. And when he gets back, he's just kind of all fucked up on drugs and always going like this, like, oh, and pointing the pistol around and not always being the nicest guy to his wife. Now, I don't hold that against him. Um, and I don't think any of that necessarily means he's a bad person. I don't. I just think as a film, I know it's a documentary, but it's still a film. He doesn't come across as likable. He might be a totally nice guy that would totally get your back or whatever. I mean, there's parts where he's likable. When he's in the villages and shit in Afghanistan, he keeps telling people, he's like, "Look, I'm sorry. We're sorry that we're staying here. but whatever, just tell this guy I'm sorry. But neither portion of it is very exciting. Now, it's interestingly edited that they cut back and forth between him being at home and, him in Afghanistan. Even though some of the footage in Afghanistan isn't really focused on him, it's focused on other people. I think that's kind of a problem too. But yeah, and it's interesting, like edited like that. Like they'll be at a drive-through back home in North Carolina, and they'll be ordering some food, and he's sitting there like, oh, and then it cuts back to Afghanistan, almost like this is a fictional film. They're showing you what's going on inside his mind. Now, I have no idea if the director Dan Fung Dan Fung Dennis, that's the director's name. I have no idea if he took the guy's side and said, "Hey, when we were going through the drive-through at the whatchamacallit place, and you're sitting there holding your head because they're doing this big order, like, what were you thinking about?" And for all I know, Nathan said, "Oh, I was thinking about this back in Afghanistan." So then they decided to cut to that. But I kind of highly doubt it. I just kind of think it's convenient editing and trying to, mold the footage they had into a narrative. And that editing and stuff is it's nicely done enough, but I don't think there's much of a narrative here. And you could say, "Oh, documentary's not supposed to have a narrative." Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. And I think the best documentaries are better than feature films, and they have better stories than feature films. But just because you're a documentary doesn't automatically make you better than feature films. When it comes to like war movies, and I'm including fictional and documentaries, most of the ones I've seen, the fictional ones are actually better. And that might not be a popular opinion or whatever, but there's nothing in this. The guy's injury is not that bad, and he's taking pills. He's going, yeah, all right. It's a serious injury, but he's gonna come back from it. Maybe he'll have a limp, but he'll walk. So it's not like he was like terribly, terribly injured where it's going to destroy his life and his ability to get work and hang on to his wife and the footage in Afghanistan is not. I'm not saying it has to be exciting, but it's guys walking around in villages talking to fucking Afghani farmers, and every once in a while they're shooting somebody that you cannot even see. It's like way far off the screen, and like the camera guy's like all huddled in the corner, like catching parts of it. Like Restrepo was better when it came to the combat, and Restrepo was really more focused than this, in a way. Like this tries to revolve all around this one guy, but it doesn't all the time, and I don't think there's much of a story here. Or it's just you look at something like basically the same premise is Born on the Fourth of July. Now, granted, it's a fictional film, but it is based off of a real guy, and that was much more involving and engaging and moving and depressing. And the Tom Cruise's character, I forgot his name. You cared about him. Stuff happens in it, and here in this, it's 5 minutes at home, 5 minutes in Afghanistan, 5 minutes at home, 5 minutes in Afghanistan. Nothing happens in either half of the story really at all. So I'm just kind of baffled why it was nominated, why the critics like it so much. I was kind of baffled like that with Restrepo, but I could respect what Restrepo was doing. And, I liked Restrepo more and I respect it more. But this is just, it's like they recorded a bunch of shit and they're like, let's try to make something out of this, or let's try to tell a story. But you picked the wrong subject, man. You could have found somebody that was, injured worse or more likable, or just, and the struggles he faced when he got home, were more interesting because there's no real. His only struggles when he gets home is he has trouble walking, and he's taking a lot of pain pills, and he's kind of out of it a lot, and he's kind of acting out a little bit from stuff that he's experienced, but it's nothing like I don't think it really like enlightens anybody that's going to be watching it in any major way more than anything that you've seen before. I don't know. I don't know what to say, but that's it. I mean, there's it looks good. It's a good looking documentary, but the combat sections and the stuff in Afghanistan is slightly dull. You don't always know what's going on. There's not much to it, and the stuff at home, there's like even less to the stuff at home. It's just I expected to see all this interesting stuff about him back at home and how's his wife responding to this, and how is he going to find work? What are, how do people treat him now that he's a veteran? Like, what are his friends that he knew before he went? What are they doing now? Like, do they still talk to him? Do they treat him different? Like, you could have gone to so many things, but it's just him going to therapy and then him driving around with his wife and sometimes bitching at her and him waving around a gun. And I just I don't get it, man. The winner of best documentary this year was a film called Undefeated about an all-black football team. And I look at the trailer for that, and that looks amazing. I can't wait to see that. It looks great. But I have to say, I'm not surprised that this film didn't win. And Undefeated looks better. But I am surprised that it got nominated at all. It's just what because if you're a war documentary, then you get automatically get nominated, or what the fuck is the deal? Because I'm gonna fall in camp that says this is not very good. Not all documentaries are good just because they're based on real life shit and they follow real people. You could follow me around for a couple days or 6 months, and it probably wouldn't be very good, or it might be great depending on how it's put together. But I just don't feel like this is up there. So if you're a documentary fan, I have to say this one's kind of a pass for me, man. It's available on Netflix, so you can watch it right now if you want, and give it a shot. You might get a little more for it. Might do a little more for you, but didn't do it for me. Like I don't hate it, but I'm just kind of like, what the fuck is this? This isn't that good. It really isn't. So there's really not much to say about it, and I've already gone on for 12 minutes about nothing to say about it. So I say I'm gonna go out on a limb, man. 2 out of 5 stars. It just didn't do it for me. It's not terrible, but I don't think it's very good. I don't think it's a very good documentary. You're better off watching tons of other documentaries that are available on Instant. I don't know if it still is, but I would highly suggest watching Page One inside the New York Times. That was, I thought, quite good. But I like this type of documentary where it just follows the subject around, but they didn't pick a very great subject, both his circumstances and the person that he is, and they didn't. It's nicely edited, but it still wasn't edited into a very great narrative. It's kind of just putters out to like a non-ending, and that's it. So 2 out of 5 stars for Hell and Back Again. I am alone on this one. I think the critics liked it. Did you like it? Did you see it? What are your thoughts? Anyways, thanks for watching, and later, guys.